Sun's out, crust punk's out, white boy summer is in full swing.
I fucking hate crust punks.
Yeah, dude.
They're horrible people. Horrible people.
Yeah, by like a block away from the library in Jackson downtown, they got like a row of tents out there.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, but you know what? It's summer. That's what you get when you live in a major city.
I was on TikTok the other day. It's funny we start off with crust punks. I was on TikTok and I'm like, this person posted on their TikTok account homeless life, crust punk life, and they're train hopping. I'm like, if you're homeless, why do you have a telephone?
Yeah,
it's like
it's a utility in this day and age.
No, they just
you may not have a home, but you get 5G.
No, they have a home. They just don't want to live with their parents. Well, I don't want to live with mom and dad. They're anti-conformist.
I'm a bohemian.
Right? Exactly. All crust punks are shitty, fucking stupid people.
The major PSA for everybody. Castlevania Season 4 is out today.
Go watch it.
Catch up, you son of a bitch.
Dude!
I watched 5 episodes already. I'm halfway through the season.
Yeah, you would watch 5
It's lit, straight fire. Gets my dick hard and my acorn wet.
So it's that good.
Oh, it's always good, baby. Castlevania on Netflix is the gold standard for video game adaptations.
It's fair.
It's fantastic, dude. And
we'll see how Netflix does with Resident Evil.
It's probably not going to be great.
I mean, Daredevil was good. Jessica Jones was okay.
The live action movie is separate from the thing that's happening on Netflix. The Netflix is an animated movie, and those are always ass. Always ass.
You never know with Netflix.
No, they're all ass.
Anyway,
they're all ass. They're all like.
Anyway, we'll talk about Resident Evil later. We'll talk about Resident Evil later.
And also, the Guilty Gear Strive second open beta is happening this weekend from the 13th to the 16th. You know, I'll be playing some because I know the smell of the game. They have all 15 characters in the base roster available for play. Yeah. Free to download if you got PS4, PS5. Check it out. Play that buttery ass netcode. And this is the fighting game of 2021, Guilty Gear Strive, coming out next month, I think.
Let's go. Good for you and Senpai.
Me, Senpai, I'll hit up Mike, 2Meg. We'll hopefully play some games this weekend. But, you know, everyone's telling you to play the Yakuza games. Everyone's telling you, hey, man.
You know what? Since I technically don't have anything, well, I'm out of town next week.
Playing Yakuza.
No, I have to go to a stupid wedding.
Oh. But yeah. The spin-off game Judgment, known as Judge Eyes in Japan, where you play a private detective.
I think I saw a trailer for that.
Yeah, it's getting a sequel called Lost in Judgment, hitting pretty much every console except for Switch worldwide September 24th. And it's keeping up with the action combat, the detective work that you got in the first game. And they confirmed with the Lost Judgment announcement that the mainline Yakuza series going forward will remain turn-based, which is what Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon was. So, you know, you get to have your cake and eat it too.
There you go, man.
You want your beat-em-up action with the old Yakuza series. You got in the spin-off with Lost Judgment coming out. And then you got your sick turn-based gameplay from the mainline Yakuza games.
And speaking of the turn-based gameplay, the creators of Yakuza came out and said, from moving forward, all games are going to be turn-based.
Yeah, I just said that, man.
No. Are the original games turn-based?
No.
No, see?
Yeah, no, I just said the mainline games going forwards are staying turn-based.
Oh, I thought you said... I thought you said something else, and I don't know why. So listen to him. Don't listen to me.
I gotta knock some sense into this guy's head here. So he's too caught up in partying for White Boy Summer.
No. I just like saying offensive things.
Yeah. But Lost Judgment, check it out, baby. And check out the Yakuza series. There's so many games.
There are a lot of games. If you have a PC or Xbox, you can play them on Game Pass. That way you have to buy like 8 different games.
And just start with Yakuza 0 if you like it. There's more where that came from.
And that's what I'll do when I get back from the wedding and finish my second Village playthrough.
You've only beaten it once?
Fuck off.
How fake gamer girl over here only beating Village once in a week.
I'm trying to get everything.
Yeah. You can do that easily. Twice in a week.
I'm sorry, I can't do long play sessions. I have a jobby.
Yeah, I got it.
I know you have a job. Shut up. Anyway, moving on. EA Play is happening this year.
Yeah, EA Play Live. July 22nd is the official date, so, we're in the middle of convention season. And
are they going to be at
they usually do their
E3?
own thing. Yeah. They've been doing their thing outside the convention hall.
That's right.
QuakeCon, August 19th through 21. So hopefully with QuakeCon, usually they'll show the trailers for stuff. Bethesda you'll usually show trailers for stuff at E3 and then go and have deep dive presentations at QuakeCon. So QuakeCon will probably see deep dive presentations of
Deathloop since it got delayed.
Ghostwire Tokyo, and maybe Starfield if that gets announced. They'll probably get announced this year and then come out next year. Which is Bethesda.
Everyone keeps saying Starfield's going to be this year, but I think it's going to be 2022.
Of course, next year.
I mean, it'd be cool if it was this year. Kind of give Xbox that exclusive game, but I think it'll be 2022. I think there are a lot of great games that are going to come out next year.
Bethesda usually doesn't double dip with big releases
in
a season. Usually. They did release Wolfenstein New Colossus and Evil Within 2 back to back. But you gotta release Evil Within 2 on October, man.
Exactly.
It's Halloween.
And it's a great game, baby.
It is a great game. One of my top 5 survival horror games. Evil Within 2. Maybe top 3. Lucasfilm Games they made a bunch of classic games,
Rogue Squadron.
No, even going older back. They're re-releasing Zombies Ate My Neighbors and the sequel.
Super fucking stoked for that.
Rule Patrol.
That was one of my favorite SNES games.
Yeah.
I played the shit out of that when I was a kid.
Personally, I don't care about these games, but the implication that they're being published by Disney is that maybe Disney is going back into the LucasGames back catalog and they're just going to release.
That would be awesome if they did a re-release of Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I played that on N64, which was awesome.
Yeah, I want the if they re-release the one for GameCube because I never played that one.
That was a good one too.
Yeah. Give us those old awesome Star Wars
Bring it
games.
on. Let's go, Disney.
Do it. Do it. Although many of them, you could play them on GOG.com right now. Pick them up, baby. They're modified to work on modern systems, so you don't have to run a DOS box. It quietly runs it in the background, built into the program, baby. But yeah, this just opens the door for Disney bring back its back catalog. Maybe we'll get Castle Illusion or some of the cool Mickey Mouse and other games. Come on, Disney. Be cool again.
Give the fans what they want.
Yes. A good Iron Fist. That's what I want. I love Iron Fist. I want to be good. I know you pre-ordered these. PlayStation announced the Midnight Black and Cosmic Red DualSense controllers.
Yes, it looks sick.
I
especially love the red one.
It's a beautiful burgundy.
It's great.
I don't think we've ever seen with controller colors before, and I might get it. Plug it into my PC.
I pre-ordered both just in case because I can't decide. Maybe I'll trade in both my white controllers and get them. Maybe I'll keep the red one and scalp the black one because they're going to be on a pre-order basis only. So once they're out, they'll probably be out for a while.
Ooh. I might do it. Might
just do it, man.
Why not?
Just do it.
I always cancel my pre-orders, but yeah, it looks sick, man. It looks sick.
I love how the red one is $5 more than the black one.
Is it?
It is $5 more. I think it's because the dye that they use to make it red,
for the plastic,
which would make sense, but it's stupid.
It looks great. And I'll do it. I'll pony up that $5 extra.
Let's do it.
It's such a beautiful.
It's $5 pre-order, man.
And I can always cancel.
Exactly.
But yeah. That golden era of Adult Swim.
It's coming back.
It's coming back, kind of. But it's coming back in a good way. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Metalocalypse, and my favorite, Venture Brothers. They're all getting movies.
I never watched Venture Brothers, but I love the shit out of Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Metalocalypse.
Watch Venture Brothers.
Is it good?
It's a fantastic series. Venture Brothers got canceled a couple of years ago, and with this movie, I'm hoping they wrap up the storylines and we get that conclusion we want with the Venture family. But yeah, those movies coming to HBO Max and Adult Swim. But yeah, HBO Max is great, man. Adventure Time's been off the air, but we got 2 little long episodes / short movies for Adventure Time. It's great, man. All these properties people love, we can just give you little doses of it, and it's fantastic. Max, what a great...
It's a great investment.
It's the best streaming service out
there. It is.
It
really is. Yeah, I love HBO Max. It's great.
Check out, if you love those adult animated series, check out Close Enough on HBO Max. It's from the creator of Regular Show, and it's pretty much the sequel to Regular Show. Regular Show was about a bunch of slackers in their 20s. This is about a bunch of 30-year-olds, and they're just slacking about, trying to, doing millennial shit, There's the entire...
Regular Show, was that?
It's the raccoon and the blue jay.
That's right.
Getting into shenanigans. Yeah. Close Enough, the entire last episode of the first season is just about how the main characters love Cable Guy. It's right up my alley.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'll
check that out.
Yes, do it.
Do it.
Do it. Well, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode.
Target and Walmart.
Target and Walmart have stopped. They're going to stop selling trading cards in store because people are going nuts, apparently. I think the pandemic has brought out how awful nerds are.
Yeah.
Just how shitty
we're horrible. We are horrible people.
Yeah, there was a news story where somebody bust out a gun on another person just because they were trying to compete. Like, hey man, I want to buy those Pokemon cards and shit. So yeah, Target and Walmart, you can still buy those cards online, but yeah, they're pulling them from shelves. Trade like MLB, NFL trading cards,
Magic the Gathering, everything.
Yeah, just people are going nuts. Everyone's, I don't know, going crazy, man. It's fucking.
Come on, nerds. You gotta do better than that. They're fucking trading cards.
TCG people are the worst people.
Oh no, I agree.
Worse than QAnon and neo-Nazis combined.
Yeah, I think you can all group them. No, trading card players, collectors, and QAnon crazy people. You can group them all.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram. They're all just cooped up nerds with their.
And they all intersect
their heads
with each
too much,
other.
Not having real social interactions.
Don't pull a gun on someone over trading cards. Get a life, man. You're pathetic. Don't do that.
You wish you had the stones to whip out a gun to try to get a better MTG deck.
No, I don't. I buy singles, man. I build my decks from singles. That's how you should build a deck. Get a nice concept.
You're part of the problem, man, because a lot of it is just these sellers. They're hoarding cards to sell single cards.
I go to like shops. I don't fucking buy from people online. I go to like actual trading card shops. And I'm not gonna pull a gun on someone if they get a card before me. That's just pathetic.
I think you might.
I don't even own a gun.
You haven't been pushed to the limit of like, I need that one more card to get my deck perfect.
Well, I don't even play that much to even need to do that. You don't play Magic the Gathering? It's fun.
I don't play Magic the Gathering. Pussy. I've got Pokemon cards that have been collected.
I know. Remember when we bought Yu-Gi-Oh cards from the GameStop and never did anything with them?
I don't think I was part of that.
No, you were. Because we were working and we had like 2 decks left and I was like, hey, if you buy that, let's play it. And we never played.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't me.
It was you.
I went through my deck just the other day. I mean, and...
I promise it was you.
It was not me.
It was.
Then where are those cards, man?
I don't know, man. What are you doing?
All the cards are in that box.
I don't know.
I didn't see any new Yu-Gi-Oh
I don't know.
cards.
Maybe it was Kevin.
It was probably Kevin.
It was you or Kevin. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But we're getting riled up just talking about cards. How do you think these people
I'm gonna pull out a gun. I'm gonna threaten you right now.
Ooh.
Ugh.
Dude, we should take this bet to Target right now and get some trading cards. Because people are wilding for some paper.
That's gonna be good for like GameStop and everyone who's still gonna sell that.
Yeah, well, in the pandemic, just prices are at an all-time high. Just
with everything, graphics cards, trading cards.
Play MTG Arena on Steam.
It's free.
Man. It's free to play. But if you want,
you get all the cards there.
Yeah, you don't. There's no limit to like, oh, I can't get that card anymore because it's not printed. Like, hey, it's digital. You can just keep buying digital. You keep buying digital booster packs, and
it's like, but I don't get the same high as opening the pack.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good feeling, opening a pack.
Dude, it feels so good.
It is
open
really
a
great.
loot box and you get that thing you need. Just, ooh, that's a nice looking skin, baby.
Yeah.
But the meat and potatoes, Resident Evil Village.
Oh, man.
Came out last week. We've both been playing the hell out of it. I've beaten it twice. This guy's a puss monger. He's only beaten it once.
I'm on my second playthrough. I just got to...
Playing on hardcore for your second playthrough?
What's the one after standard?
Hardcore.
Then yes.
Okay. Right on, dude.
It's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
The scares, the action, just all of it is so good now.
Obviously, big spoiler alert ahead. We're going to talk a lot about this game, so if you haven't played it, skip to the end of this video, maybe, I don't know.
So let's start with the tall lady, because she is the first section of the game. Section.
I was on the fence, I was upset about that, but the castle aspect of the game and her daughters were just so good.
I love that in the media leading up to the game, that's all they showed.
Yeah,
and the rest of it was just a huge surprise, which is, with horror, with scares, a lot of it is novelty.
Exactly. Because going into it, you're like, alright, I'm going to go to the village, and then I'm going to go to the castle, and that's it.
I'm going to fight these vampire ladies, and then oh no. Vampire ladies, this is only the first fourth of the game.
Yes.
And the village... So it takes place in, obviously, a village, and it's split up into... The game's split up into 4 different sections based on 4 different lords of the village and their territory. And between each round, you go back to the village. I think that's cool. You get to see it kind of degrade over time.
Yeah, and you get, obviously, as you progress, you get more access to other areas because you have new guns or, keys.
A crank.
Yeah, a crank. That was really funny.
Crank.
Yeah.
It's not a Resident Evil game if you're not cranking something.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, it was, so far, it's my game of the year for 2021.
It's good, man. I like how each 4 lords, each 4 sections of the game gives you different flavors of horror.
Right.
Because you get that kind of classic Resident Evil in the first part with you have giant lady chasing you like Mr. X.
I love that they did that.
It kind of feels really like cool. The mansions of previous Resident Evil games.
Where you could just open a door and she'll be right there. Her daughter will pop up.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Good. Just also the basic enemy type of the Lycans that you encounter throughout the game.
Yeah.
They're always scary and they're always threatening throughout the entire thing. Whereas
especially on hardcore.
Later on in Resident Evil games, you encounter a zombie. It's like, I could just smoke you easily.
Yeah, exactly.
They're always still a threat. They're mobile. They're the most mobile basic enemy.
It's a very action-packed game, but depending on what you encounter, you have to really manage your bullets.
Yes.
Because, you could pump the Lycans full of bullets, but you don't know what's around the next corner. You don't know what's coming next. So you're like, all right, do I run? It was really good tension building.
Especially in the last section, which is the factory, but let's go section by section.
And I do like how in the beginning, the story that Mia tells Rose is pretty much an homage to the entire game.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
They tell you the setup for the entire game.
And you don't even realize it.
Yeah. Good old... Yeah, the game starts with... the story is expectedly Resident Evil bonkers.
Yeah. You're like, why is this happening?
It's ridiculous, but it's still... They still execute it well and feel for these characters.
Especially in the opening.
Yeah. Because Chris comes off as a bad guy at the start where he kills Mia.
Pretty much up until the second half of the game. Until you find him in the factory.
Yeah. You really don't expect Chris to be the actual bad guy. Of course, there's a reason for it, and then you find out why later on. But yeah,
and it's really cool when you find out why, how that ends up tying it all together
into the first Resident Evil 7. Also.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
It's got really interesting story stuff going on. I mean, it's not great. It's not like Oscar.
Yeah, it's not like Last of Us storytelling.
But it's Resident Evil
good
in a good way.
It's good. It's like take everything you liked about Resident Evil Biohazard, and make it better.
Yeah, you find out why. I mean, Ethan Winters is still a dork.
Yeah,
but he's a dork you can grow to love with his father's.
Oh, it was so good.
And then
I think that dynamic of adding Rose to the story really just helps develop Ethan as a better character, and like you said,
more interesting.
Makes him more interesting and makes you care about him more. It's great. He's a great protagonist, father figure that you're just rooting for.
It's an easy narrative trick to just have, like, here's the dad, I'm looking for my daughter, and you can sympathize with that easily, but it's still effective. It does its job. And then Chris, they humanize him.
Yeah, they really do.
He seems... Because Chris is
he seems cold and...
Yeah, and just kind of disillusioned and frustrated with, I've been killing these bioweapons for 20 years.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready for it to be over.
And then it's not. Of course it's not.
It's never going to be.
He's always struggling. But yeah, the first section of the game, the castle, giant vampire lady.
This crew's so good.
You know, it's typical Resident Evil fare. You're getting keys, you're taking jewels out of rings and using them to open doors, just going around. And
also, heading to the castle, you meet Duke for the first time.
It
was great.
Fun guy.
I love Duke. I love the throwback to Resident Evil 4.
He should be Duke as Halloween.
That means I get super fat. I get fatter than I already am.
Think of how fun it is to get fat, though.
Yeah, but then I actually have to try to lose that weight because I don't want to be that fat and unhealthy for that one. I'm already fat and unhealthy as it is.
Just get a fat suit then.
I guess I can get a fat suit.
Well,
we'll see what happens. Yeah. You want to be my Ethan Winters?
Yeah.
You can dye your hair blonde?
Yeah, and also just like put just black makeup on my face just to obscure my face.
Fuck up your hands a lot?
Yeah.
Capcom really does not like his hands.
No. And it's one of the twists. Like, you see awful, horrific things happening to Ethan Winters. You get that good body horror of just getting blades in his legs and hooks in his hands, and they explain it all in the story. Like,
it makes so much sense once they explain it.
Because he gets his left hand cut off in Resident Evil 7.
Oh, 7, yeah, sorry.
And then you're like, well, that's weird. He just pours some goop on it. And then
it's stapled and it's fine.
And then in the castle, Lady Dimitrescu cuts his right hand off, and while he's trying to pull a lever, and then you have to run away from her and circle back and grab your hand and pull the lever again.
Did you ever trigger the cutscene in Biohazard where it's like your first encounter with Jack, you're running around, and if you let him catch you, he cuts off your leg?
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, I've
only played Resident Evil 7 once.
So if you ever replay it and you're at that first encounter where you're trying to escape the main house with Jack, and he's chasing you around, you have to go under the floor and everything. Let him catch you, he'll cut off your leg, and you just see Ethan crawl over to his leg, put it back on, and pour the first aid on it. And again, when you think about that scene, it's like, and then you find out why Ethan's able to do that. You're like, holy shit, that makes sense.
For that. I mean, it is silly, but it makes sense for Resident Evil.
Yeah, for a Capcom Resident Evil game, it's like, all right, that's cool. I could see that happening. Yeah. And after the castle...
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish he spent more time in the castle because it's a great environment. But it is great how it's just like, this is the tip of the iceberg, baby. It's going to get scarier and more intense. Mm-hmm. Like the boss fights against the 3 vampires, bug swarm daughters was cool at the start because your resources are limited, and then when you figure out how to beat them, you have to like bust open the walls or like, find the opening
or the windows.
It's cool because they have to open up the walls because they're bug swarm people.
Yeah.
and they're susceptible to cold weather. So those are cool encounters. They're interesting.
It's cool how it made sense of how to kill them.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And then, naturally, Lady Dimitrescu is not cool with you
killing her daughters.
So after you kill the first one, she pursues you like Mr. X through the castle the entire time you're there, which is, it is.
It's very stressful.
It's stressful in the right kind of way. Eventually, the boss fight against her, she becomes a giant dragon, which fits the medieval castle.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Just like,
I like how her little minions are zombie soldiers who have swords and shields and shit.
Yeah, because
that's
they're
really
just,
cool.
lying around the castle dungeons.
That was cool.
Yeah, that is a cool boss fight, fighting a dragon at the top of the tower, but it's a gross bio weapon dragon with a gross, looking thing. It's fantastic.
It's great.
It's a good boss fight, thrilling.
The second boss, though, the second lord, was...
The second section.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite ones.
Yes.
Very PT, Silent Hill vibes.
Yeah, this they get into the other genres of horror where they take away your weapons in House Beneviento, and the enemy, it taps into... It's someone who controls dolls.
Right.
So the dolls are creepy. You got Chucky, you got Annabelle. So it taps into that kind of horror.
And as soon as you start walking through that forest, you're like, this is going to be eerie and creepy, and it's so good.
So it taps into... You get the gothic horror of the first section with Lady Dimitrescu. And then House Beneviento, you get the haunted house thing with creepy dolls. And, it becomes just other... indie horror games where you're just solving puzzles and walking around hallways.
Yeah, like PT or what was the one with the video camera?
And Amnesia.
Yeah.
It's like that. And it is the scariest part of the game.
Yes.
And also maybe the scariest part of any Resident Evil game.
I agree. Yeah,
because...
And then the monster that confronts you.
Yeah.
Oh.
The whole time you walk in there from the start and they take away your weapons, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't know what is going to happen. So you just have that horror, that psychological horror just in you the entire time you're in that section of the game.
So when you play that section, if you can, play it with headphones.
Oh, for sure. The sound design for the monster you encounter in there.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. It's... because we're full spoiler talk, man. It is a giant
mutilated baby.
And the way they wrap that up with the whole story of Ethan's looking for his baby.
Yeah.
And it's like a monstrous baby that ends up pursuing you. And have you gotten killed by it?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrifying.
The baby's got a giant mouth. And you know how babies are. They'll just put stuff in their mouth. And it just...
grabs you and eats you.
Just swallows Ethan whole with its toothless mouth. It is.
I agree with you. That's one of the best Resident Evil moments.
Yeah.
Like that second Lord, they've done it in a long time. It's great.
It's one of the best Resident Evil deaths they've had in a while. Just because, with the third-person Resident Evils, you get awesome deaths of Leon getting his head chopped off. But with first person, it's not that interesting to see Ethan getting maimed because you're first person. You don't see it happening to your body. But seeing this is Ethan is getting swallowed legs first, and you just see your body getting taken into this giant baby mouth. It's so good. The tension and the horror is so masterfully crafted in House Beneviento, and I'm so glad that they only talked about the first part of the game for all the marketing.
Exactly,
because this was such an amazing surprise of just a creepy doll.
Another thing of Capcom changing up the formula for their games.
Yes,
because you don't expect something like that in a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, but like we were talking with the Lycans and the action, the way they balance the horror and the action of this game is so masterfully done.
Yeah, it's like they saw everything they did in Resident Evil 6 and what made it bad, and they're like, all right, let's put action in this game, but let's do it right.
Yes, it's the perfect mix between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Whereas...
I agree.
The moment... fighting the Molded in Resident Evil 7 sucks. They're not good enemies to fight. But then, like, okay, let's get some Resident Evil 4 type enemies.
Exactly.
With the systems of 7, and then just the horror of 7, the quieter moments. Because Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil game, but it's not a scary game. There's like some scary, tense moments and elements, but it's mostly an action game.
Yeah.
And this one just balances the horror and the action perfectly. But yeah, that second section of the game is... If you're listening to this and you haven't played it, what are you doing? Fuck you.
Yeah, really. You're missing out on a great game.
You should have come into the second section completely... blank slate, and it'll blow your balls off.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's great.
Yes. And just the way when you finally get the backstory for all the characters and the enemies, just reading through the documents and whatnot, it has that extra dimension of just like, oh, these are just sad people. Like, I hate to do that to you, but you kidnapped my daughter, and you...
Right.
Some of these guys are just...
Like, what's
trying
the
to
name
live
of
their lives before
what's
they
the name
got
of
turned into freaks.
The fish guy.
Moreau.
Like, he just wanted to be liked by Mother Miranda.
He's just
That's
sad
all he ever wanted.
So the next section of the game, you House Beneviento's in like a mist-covered mountain, and you go down to the reservoir, and you encounter a fish man who looks like a gross, disgusting merman.
Yeah. Like if a merman experiment went wrong, that's Moreau.
That's him. And this, the Resident Evil, the previous section, House Beneviento, is fully in the corner of like the indie horror kind of genre of walking through hallways and solving puzzles. And then for the next section, they fully swing back to like the pure action Resident Evil 4 thing. And the entire section is just this one boss fight, pretty much. You're trying to get a key to get to a boat and to turn on some generators. But the whole thing is just, I'm running around so I can finally fight a giant fish. Section. Yeah. And it taps into, like, again, like, it's not scary to us nowadays, but when it first came out, Jaws
was
a big scary movie. Right. Just that, you're running around the water, you have to fight this giant monster. And Ethan should have bought a bigger boat.
Yeah.
But he did bring big enough guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... You're in this reservoir, you're just running around these flooded houses trying to... I don't know, it's essentially trying to get from point A to point B with extra steps.
Right.
But it is thrilling just having this giant fish monster just
circle
jumping
you
around, circling you. I mean, as long as you don't stand on any of the bridges...
Or you really get thrown in the water, you're fine.
Yeah, you really can't die in that section. But it's still exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have the horror and tension of the previous section, but it is still exciting. You get that Jaws feeling.
Yeah.
That bombastic action of Resident Evil 4.
I liked Moreau. I felt so bad for him because he just wanted to be loved.
Exactly.
He wanted to be loved by Mother Miranda, wanted to do good, but he took your daughter, so you had to kill him.
Yeah, you gotta kill him. But also, he did experiments on people, but he wouldn't have done it in the first place if it wasn't for Mother Miranda.
Yeah, which we'll get to.
We're talking about Mother Miranda. Like in the marketing material, they make it seem like Lady Dimitrescu is the main villain, but Lady Dimitrescu does mention Mother Miranda in the trailers, so there's a nice tease. And then early on in the game, you get to see Mother Miranda and all the four lords together.
Right.
You get the impression of just like, okay, it's all building up. Gotta fight these four lords. Mother Miranda at the end. It's a nice, simple arc, and it's entertaining. But yeah, did you like that fish fight?
It was okay.
Yeah, it is okay. It's not like the best boss fight in the game. It's just, they've done this a lot in Resident Evil games before, like giant monster. Here's this big section, let me run around, there's some barrels spread out.
Right. Let me stun him. Yeah. Go ham on him.
Then the weak spot opens up.
Right.
Classic Resident Evil boss fight, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
But in a game that gave you like fantastic moments, like again, the highlight of the game, House Beneviento.
Yeah.
It is just like a generic Resident Evil thing, and it is kind of throwaway, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
It's still exciting because he is a cool looking, disgusting monster.
He's designed really
well.
Bunch of
eyes on his back and just
Very well designed.
And I like how there's a design consistency with, like, the fish monster's mouth is similar in design to Lady Dimitrescu's dragon form, because they are made from the same parasite and it's transforming their bodies in similar
exactly.
ways. So I love that, just a little attention to detail with their designs. And then, next section of the game. Heisenberg. Where Heisenberg, they show him in one trailer, he looks like Magneto. He's got a giant hammer and moves metal around with his mind.
Which, because I always thought, the big fucking Lycan you fight that looks like him with the big hammer, I thought he was a Lycan. And they kind of teased that well, but he's not a Lycan.
Yeah.
That boss was fun, though.
Awesome. Oh, no, the next part. The Stronghold.
Oh, yeah, because you don't fight Heisenberg yet.
You don't fight Heisenberg yet. Yeah, so Heisenberg, he's your kind of playful, Saw-like villain. He's like, hey, I'm going to have you do some busy work.
Yeah.
So he sends you to a castle that's like the den for all the Lycans. And I think this is the hardest part of the game.
It was really hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wave. It's kind of like a wave battle. You just wave after wave of Lycans. Here's an abandoned castle. Here's a bunch of werewolves.
Yeah.
Try to survive. Yeah. Where it's, again, you have that tension, and it's not particularly scary, but that tenseness of
resource management.
How do I fight all these guys? How do I manage my resources properly in this encounter? And just, it speaks so well. It's just how they design the basic enemy to be scary and a danger throughout.
Well, and they did so well leading up to it. Like, you had Lycan battles, you had encounters, but it still didn't feel that action heavy because they balanced it so well. So when you get to this point, you're like, all right, we're going to go in guns a-blazing and we're going to fuck up some Lycans.
Yeah, and then even though you are going guns blazing this section, it's still just the horror of just like, I am being overwhelmed.
It's like,
because you're fighting like three guys in front of you. It's just like, all right, go lay a mine. Hopefully, I can take out as much of them as possible. But then with how mobile they are, they're werewolves, so they can like climb up walls and they can jump.
You kind of have to lead them to the right path.
Yeah, they can like. So you see like an arm come up behind you and you get bitten, and you're just like, fuck. Oh god, I gotta kick him away. I gotta run away.
Yep.
Get some like med juice on me, and then like reload. And that part is so.
It was
exciting.
Good. I like
exciting. Just getting those action moments back to back and fighting the giant fish, fighting swarms of werewolves,
and then fighting the huge Lycan guy. He was awesome.
Yeah. So good action section.
And the sound editing of their roars was just great.
They're terrifying.
Yeah.
They're terrifying. Like, when you see them close up when they bite you, it's scary because it used to be a guy, but then they just got transformed by like the Kato or the mold creatures or whatever. And they don't have that kind of sexy werewolf kind of looking.
No, they're rough, ragged, and they're ready to fuck.
Yeah, they're clearly just mutated humans.
Yeah,
but with the behaviors of werewolves,
and they're pissed off.
Yeah, poor villagers, man. And then they finally get to Heisenberg's factory, which is getting a lot of different biomes, different environments, and this one. It's a nice replacement from the usual Resident Evil thing where you find an underground laboratory.
Right.
It's like, okay, we get an underground factory, and because it's a factory, it's more gritty than like having...
And the set design for that was great. Like, in the distance, you see him manufacturing his army.
His army of, like, zombie soldiers, and it's...
I wasn't a fan of the final fight with him.
No,
it was really stupid. But like the lead up to it, like his environment, his factory and everything, that was awesome.
Just the industrial horror.
Yeah.
Just an abandoned factory with like low lighting and just some creepy things around the corner.
And you get really cool enemy design in that one too.
Yeah.
Like the one with the engine propeller.
The propeller head guy.
That was really cool.
There's some controversy because...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, a horror director had a propeller head monster that's almost exactly the same.
I think it is.
Yeah, so, Capcom might be in some legal troubles because of the enemy design, but it's a great enemy.
It's a great design, too.
Just that... It taps into that body horror of just seeing these humans with just metal parts kind of grafted onto them, kind of like a... There's like a 90s Japanese horror movie called Tetsuo where it's just like a bunch of mechanical shits just getting shoved into this guy's body. it's that kind of horror, and it's fantastic. Where a lot of criticism, there's some criticism with the game. We're just like, it's totally inconsistent. But I dig it, man. It's like a meat and cheese platter of every kind of horror. You get a little samples of it, and it all comes together in a weird way.
I don't agree with that. That's just for people who want their horror games to be the exact same from start to finish. Which, if you've ever played a Resident Evil game, usually doesn't go that way.
No.
Especially when Biohazard came out. It was a complete left turn from what other Resident Evil games are like.
Resident Evil, they'll change up the pace by... Oh, by the way, there's an underground lab, and it's the same like every other underground lab in previous Resident Evils. But this is like a good change of pace with it's grody. It looks like, I don't know, man. It could be the setting of a 90s Nine Inch Nails music video. I love it, man.
That's awesome.
It's
gross.
Like it's dirty. It's...
It has the feel of an underground factory.
Just and we're used to seeing just mutilated bodies from just biological stuff happening to them, like there's like a frog person or whatever. But then this one, we see just the machinery just grafted onto people.
It's fucking dope.
I mean, the enemies, you get that classic shoot the red spot.
Yeah.
But it's still thrilling because
it's cool.
Those enemies
and
are
you still have to kind of aim for it too, because it's not like you can... It's fun.
Like the variants, there's these drill guys.
Those guys are...
And there's like different forms of them. Later you fight these jet drill guys who have jetpacks on them, and they charge you so fast, man.
Those are a pain in the ass.
They fucked me up, man.
Yeah, they fucked me up too.
There's an easy way to beat them is because it gets into like that video game logic where you start to see the programming of the Matrix, where before you go into the section where you fight them, there's a ladder you climb down. You just like run back to the start of that section, climb the ladder, and then they'll start walking back.
Oh, really?
To like the section they came from, and then you just jump down the ladder and then kind of get a couple pot shots in, and then you run up the ladder again. So it's a video game. What do you expect? It's not real life. There are always ways to cheese video games.
That's true.
It's just a bunch of
code.
It's just a bunch of numbers and letters that magically becomes this piece of art.
That we love.
With a beautiful looking skin, man. Seeing Ethan's
great.
hands, so detailed.
Yeah.
Seeing his 1.5 hands. Just awful things happen.
As soon as that happened, I was like, yep, here we go again.
Bad things happening to Ethan.
And his hands.
At the start of the game, he gets like half his left hand bitten off, and he's just holding guns with these digits the entire game. It's pretty entertaining.
Like I said, man, someone at Capcom really hates Ethan Winter's hands. But whatever. Yeah. And then after that, you finally get the Heisenberg.
Heisenberg's an interesting character because he is kind of an exciting, flamboyant villain. And his whole thing is the head honcho, Mother Miranda, she turned the Four Lords into those Freako bioweapons. And he actually resents Mother Miranda for doing that. And she has power over all of them. So his factory and his army of Freakos, he's planning on having an uprising against Mother Miranda, and he tries to get Ethan Winters to join him. Because there's hints that Ethan might be special. Which, he's gotten all his limbs cut off, and he's, fine afterwards.
He was able to reproduce a baby, so...
So, Heisenberg... Yeah, he's butthurt that you don't join him, so he throws you in the factory and has his ghouls come after you. Exciting, exciting times with those ghouly guys. Yeah. Propeller Head, that's again, standard boss fight, like Rhino in any Spider-Man game.
Get behind him.
Just, bait him so he charges at you, runs into the wall, and then you shoot him in from behind. Basic boss fight. But the Heisenberg boss fight is weird as shit.
It's weird as shit, and I didn't like it. It was honestly the only boss fight I didn't really care for.
Well, before that story, you run into Chris again, and he gets oh yeah, and what we expected, he wasn't the bad guy all along.
Yeah, you figure out what's going on is what's going on.
Mother Miranda was Mia the whole time. Not the whole time, but for the past couple weeks. because Mother Miranda wanted to kidnap Rose and she could shapeshift.
Yep.
So, you know.
There it is.
Yeah, kind of a stupid twist. And don't worry about Mia, she's fine. Chris finds her later.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, you gotta have somewhat of a happy ending, I guess. But yeah, the Heisenberg boss fight, it turns out, like, Chris found this weird bulldozer tank thing that he was fixing up in the basement
of his factory.
Yeah, so Chris goes to the factory and plants bombs, and then Ethan takes this tank out and fights Heisenberg, who became this, again, Tetsuo metal monster. And
it's a very interesting concept. Very interesting.
It's a fun fight, but it is stupid and silly.
Yeah.
Compared to
what you've already been through and what you've already done.
Because I
don't want to say it felt lazy, but if you kind of look at like how different Lady D was, the Benvenuto house, and Moreau.
This is different from every other Resident Evil fight. But it feels like some weird boss fight you'll get in some random first-person shooter game of like,
it feels like it should be in like a Wolfenstein game.
Yeah, or like a Halo. Like, here's the part where you control the tank.
Right.
Because it is. You're Ethan Winters in a tank fighting like a metal monster.
Yeah, fighting a mech.
Yeah. It's bananas. It's fun, though.
Yeah, it's fun.
One arm is a heavy cal machine gun and a cannon, and then the other arm is a chainsaw.
Oh, chainsaw, yeah.
Yeah, and they use the chainsaw to block. Like, because Heisenberg, he's got like a giant buzzsaw arms that he tries to cut you with, and then you block with a chainsaw. It kind of touches back to the chainsaw fight
with Jack Baker
in 7. It's a silly fight, but again, it's Resident Evil, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Because Resident Evil is, again, like Will said, it's not The Last of Us. You're not gonna... They know how to have fun and do stupid, cheesy shit for the sake of fun in Resident Evil. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Man. It's stupid. It's so stupid. You're controlling a tank that somebody made in a basement.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, what happens after is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, you figure out Mother Miranda's plan and why she's doing what she's doing. She had a daughter who died of the Spanish flu.
Yeah, and then Mother Miranda, she's been alive for over 100 years. Yeah. This is the part where you get the big story dump of all the twists and whatnot. You find out Ethan Winters
is dead.
He died in Resident Evil 7, but then he got brought back by the mold. His body's made out of mold. The mold was able to copy his consciousness and put it back in.
But yet not turn him into a mold monster. But I think that had to do with Evelyn as a bioweapon, and not because I think
because Evelyn was able to control her
Jack Baker, Marguerite, and Lucas,
and those guys kept their human form. So I think
so maybe killing Evelyn removed like that sense of control. Maybe,
but a lot of it was like Jack Baker. Like, the more you regenerate, the more your body gets fucked up. Like, Jack Baker, you fuck him up, and then he eventually, like, regenerates into, like, the giant monster fight at the end of the game. So I think because things were relatively normal for his injuries, Ethan's injuries, he maintained his human form because he didn't have to regenerate that much.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's interesting with the concept of the mold of... See, this ties into some real-world applications because there are, I think it's in the United Kingdom, computer scientists are experimenting with mold computing.
Really?
Because, you have forests just... Oh, man. I'll link you the article.
Okay.
Which I say that, I'm never going to remember.
You're not going to do it. I'll have to text you later.
You have forests that have... Similar in this game, the village in Resident Evil Village... There's like a gigantic mass of mold that spans the entirety of the village. But in the world you have entire forests where you have mold, like a single organism of mold just spanning the entire underground of forests. And so scientists in the UK are experimenting with that because some fungus can transmit electricity and they can use it to store data.
Interesting.
So it's still like in the early stages, and like who knows how far they get with that. But the whole thing with the village is that this mold can store data and information,
right.
store people's consciousnesses. And so Mother Miranda's daughter died back in the Spanish flu, and so the daughter's consciousness is somewhere in the mold mass. So she's trying to find a host to bring back the daughter in.
Which is where Rose comes in.
Yeah, Rose's daughter, Ethan's daughter, is a mold monster in and of itself.
Which makes sense because we found out Ethan's
a mold monster, essentially.
Yeah.
And Mia was infected with the mold.
Yeah.
Like, they cured her when you inject her at the end of 7. But yeah, you have someone who's born as a mold monster. And you also find out, like, the way this is truly ties into Resident Evil 7. Evelyn, who's the main antagonist of Resident Evil 7, you find out that she was an attempt to make a clone body for Mother Miranda's daughter. And Mother Miranda was also, you find out, a mentor
to the founder
to Umbrella Corporation, Oswald Spencer. And which is why you see the Umbrella logo throughout the village, is that he got...
Like, the final pedestal has, like, the Umbrella logo.
He got his idea for the Umbrella logo from, like, the coat of arms of the village.
Yep.
Is because the village is where he first encountered that mold and got the inspiration for, like, the biosciences.
Like the G-virus and everything.
So, you get that whole... Essentially, you get the midichlorians of the Resident Evil universe. It's like, oh, by the way, this is how it all started. You thought, like, it was the progenitor virus in 5. Yes, the progenitor virus was the origin of the T virus and the G virus. But he was inspired, Oswald Spencer was inspired to look for the progenitor virus because he encountered the mold 30 years earlier in Europe with Mother Miranda. Yeah, so it's, again...
It goes all the way back just to come all the way forward.
It's stupid because it is legit the midichlorians moment of the Resident Evil universe, but it works for the Resident Evil universe, so it's still an interesting payoff, just like, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
And also, so what happens is, Ethan finds out he's mold. His daughter's mold. Oh, I can't believe we skipped over this. So the entire time you're trying to find Ethan's daughter. And early on, you find out that Ethan's daughter
has essentially been cut up, not cut up, but...
Yeah, she was killed and split up into...
She was crystallized, remember?
Yeah. And split up into 4 different jars, kind of like in Akira.
So technically, Mother Miranda killed a child.
Yeah. But, she killed a whole village with her experiments.
That's also fair.
But yeah, so the entire time, you're going after these lords because they have a fourth of...
They have a jar of your daughter.
And then, yeah, you're trying to bring them together because, she's like a special mold monster, and if you bring the 4 parts together, she'll reform.
Right.
And
so
also,
she's dead, but not dead.
Yeah, and also a weird thing of just... Why go through this whole... To explain the video gaminess of going after 4 different bosses. Mother Miranda knew Ethan had a weird fucking mold body and wanted Ethan to join her, so she put him on this weird quest to
kill her lords.
To see if Ethan was worthy and if he could triumph, like, pet.
Right.
If he could beat her other children and then, like, oh, Ethan's the true successor and should join me for real. Like, that kind of mustache twirling villainy. Of course, Ethan doesn't want to do that because
he wants his daughter back.
Yeah, exactly. And Mother Miranda's trying to overwrite, like, Ethan's daughter's body with her own daughter. Yep. And then Ethan, of course, refuses and rips his heart out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When that happened, obviously before we find out he's mold and he's not dead, I was like, oh, well. And then you immediately go to Chris because they're like, hey, Chris. Ethan's dead. Chris is like, all right, we're gonna go fuck this bitch up.
Yeah, we gotta fuck up this mold.
So that's when you get like your true like guns a-blazing action moment, which is pretty fun.
You get like you have kind of the bumbling civilian action of Ethan Winters, and then when you play as Chris, you get the experience of I've been fighting bioweapons for 20 years.
And when they did
awesome
when they did the Biohazard DLC where it's I think it was not a hero or whatever.
Yeah,
where you go after Lucas. That was cool too.
But the thing is, what's better about Resident Evil Village is that the enemies are way better than the
right. No, I agree.
So it's way more fun to fight the different types of werewolves as Chris.
And they just give you a shit ton of resources to do it. Yeah. It's awesome.
You just go ham and with your assault rifle and just blow shit.
It's really the one part of the game you're not worried about resources, which is cool. Yeah, so you play as Chris, you get to Mother Miranda.
And then you find out, like, oh, Mia was alive this whole time, which is kind of like, really, Mother Miranda's been killing everybody left and right, but the story explanation is like, oh yeah, since Mia gave birth to this freako mold baby, she's been experimenting with Mia and whatnot.
And then Mia informs Chris that Ethan is special, and then that's when we find out that Ethan is a mold monster.
Then we get back to playing as Ethan.
Yeah.
And then you just... for the final boss fight.
Which is fun.
Here's the thing, man. We never get an explanation about the Duke. We know that he has business with these guys and his trades and whatnot. Here's my theory. I think he might also be a mold monster.
I could see that.
Because he has, like, an affinity for Ethan, and I think it's because, like, hey, bro, we're both mold monsters.
Right, yeah.
It's like, hey, mold monster, I'm going to help you out with this situation. Because you do find out, like, the reason why Lady Dimitrescu is, like, a 9-foot-tall woman, like, when you read the documents, is because, like, the Kato, the mold parasite in her, just turned her huge because she has a regenerating ability, and it's constantly working, so it just, like, pumped up her body. Yeah, right. It's constantly making matter.
Did you steal her lipstick?
Yeah. Nice. Of course. Stole everything. Sold everything. I gotta upgrade my Magnum so I get infinite ammo. But yeah, so like the reason I think the Duke might be... Not only is he monstrously fat, he is also like... The dude's like 8 feet tall also if he's standing up. So I think he might just be a similar mold monster to Lady Dimitrescu and just like... Yeah, I'm huge with mold. Yeah. But again, we don't get that explanation. He's just
a merchant.
He's a kindly merchant who sees you through to the end of the game and ferries you to the final boss fight.
But, he does know a lot about Mother Miranda and her plan.
Yeah.
So it does make sense if he has a little more skin in the game, like, in the future.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's also 100 years old like Mother Miranda. Right. And then maybe we'll see him in Resident Evil 9.
Or some DLC that comes out.
Yeah.
Because the DLC for Biohazard was good. So I'm hoping that the Village DLC is just as good.
They haven't... Usually... Because publishers love selling the season pass before the game even comes out. Right. They haven't talked about DLC at all for this game. And same with Resident Evil 3 Remake and 2 Remake, there was no DLC. I'm hoping there's DLC because they leave some threads open.
Right.
I definitely want to receipt on to see how that plays out.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, you get your... you get a cool final boss fight with Ethan Winters, and you go ham on Mother Miranda, who, turns into an angel. You got a flying form, a spider form. Just a basic boss fight. You run around and just pop off rounds into a monster. It's fun. It's entertaining. Because Ethan, as a mold monster, he has his limits.
Yeah.
He had his heart ripped out, and he was able to get his body back enough for this final boss fight. So his body starts crystallizing at the end, and he recovers Rose and gives her to Chris, and Chris skips town while the mold monster, the Mega Myocyte, the mold that's been running through the entire village, goes apeshit, and then, but Chris, the good soldier that he is, laid out explosives. And, Ethan sacrifices himself so Chris and Rose can get away.
That's it.
Yeah. But you get two teases for DLC/sequels. Chris and his squad, who went rogue from the BSAA, find out the BSAA
sent in bioweapons.
Have been using bioweapons to fight bioweapons. So Chris, teaser number 1 for, like, sequel or DLC potential is like, I'm going to go see the BSA and know what they're doing. Which is like, all right, cool. See ya in a couple months or maybe a couple of years for this thread to play out.
Right. And then you get a tease after the game. Rose is visiting Ethan's grave.
An adult Rose visiting Ethan's grave.
So we're about 20, 25 years into the future.
I don't know. She might be 17. Video game protagonist.
Let's just say 20.
Yeah, 20. Like,
about 20 years.
Let's say 20 years in the future.
She's old enough to be working with what seems like Chris Redfield's people.
Yeah, because again, this is in the future. Chris probably got rid of the BSA, but she's working with Chris's people,
like Wolf Squad or something.
Yeah, we get a hint that she might have special
because they call her. The guy gets quippy with her and calls her Evelyn.
Yeah, and then she like pushes them up against the cars, like, "Hey, I've got stuff Chris hasn't even seen." So you get a tease that she might also have bioweapon powers too.
Well, even like he radios to someone like, "Hey, I got a clean shot. Do you want me to take it?"
Yeah. So
they're definitely keeping tabs on her.
They're keeping tabs on her because she is 100% mold monster,
and she's Ethan Winter's daughter.
Yeah. So, but here's a fun theory. This might not even be like 20 years in the future. Because she is a mold monster, maybe she has accelerated growth.
That's true.
Because she might only be like 3 years old and like have a full body. Because what we saw with Evelyn, like her body would just like age and...
Oh yeah, she was super old within 3 years. Because she was a kid when her and me arrived at the Baker's, and by the time Ethan got there, she was old. Yeah,
because the more she used her mold powers, it like wore on her body and she aged. So... Rosemary Winters could be 3 years old. She could be
200 years old.
Yeah, we don't know because pure mold monster. I'm hoping. Here's what I know. I hope. I'm of several minds of where they go with the future because it would be cool to play a full-on action Resident Evil game like 4, where you're playing with Rose and you have crazy knife fights because she has superhuman abilities. But I also want them to stick with this horror Resident Evil 7 and 8 train.
Especially because they did a really good job with it.
But I think we could get both worlds since they've been keeping up with the third-person Resident Evils with the Revelation series and the remakes, and we're still getting the first-person Resident Evils.
I feel like they're going to remake 4.
Yeah, we could still get we could have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly.
If they do it right, which Capcom has been doing it right for the past 5 years with they've been
Devil May Cry,
Monster Hunter, just the new Resident Evil games. So that's what I want for sequels and DLC.
What did you think about the scene where like she's driving away in the car, you see the guy walking, and the car stops?
I think that might be Chris.
Think it might be Chris?
Or Leon, who knows, man. We'll find out in DLC or Resident Evil.
We'll find out.
I'm trying to think of a word that has the new Roman numerals I and X in it. Because, you got Village 8.
9 would be that.
9 would... I don't know. Resident Evil... I can't...
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We have time. Capcom has time.
Resident Evil Square Enix.
Oh my god. No.
Where it gets
Marvel Avengers was horrible.
Where it gets full on... fantasy, you're Rose and she has super abilities like Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. She's mold teleporting. I'll play that game. I will play that game.
Honestly, I'm a fan of Resident Evil, so I would probably play that game.
It's gonna be that action game will be a shit Resident Evil game, but I think it'll still be a good action game.
There's no way it can be as bad as 6.
No, nothing can be.
I think Capcom has learned their lesson.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
for the future.
The future of Resident Evil is very bright.
And also, just in this game, we're both replaying it. I'm on my third playthrough through the hardest difficulty right now. Trying to unlock infinite ammo magnum.
Right.
Just so I can go through all the challenges of beating bosses as quickly as possible. Just by hand cannoning it up. And you're on your second playthrough through hardcore difficulty.
Yep.
I haven't even touched Mercenaries yet.
I heard Mercenaries fun. A couple people at work who also got Village said Mercenaries is fun.
It's the game that keeps on giving, baby.
Yeah. Maybe that's their plan. People play Mercenaries while they work on deals.
Yeah, a lot of the people have been complaining that it's only I'm paying $60 for a 10-hour game, which I always thought is a stupid argument.
Right.
You get whatever value you want out of it or expect.
I mean,
out of it.
the 2 and 3 remake were what, 9 hours long also?
Yeah. I mean,
and they were like $50 or $60.
And eventually you get to a point where you could beat those games in 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it's all about the replay value. Like the Resident Evil games
Exactly.
always have a ton of replay value. Give you a reason to keep coming back. Especially with Mercenaries mode, trying to get like high scores in that and trying to do all the challenges and doing the replays of the story mode.
Yeah, I'm already 5 hours into my second playthrough, but that's because I'm going to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to Morale.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's whatever value you put into it.
Yeah, art is worth whatever the market will bear.
Right.
And a lot of people are willing to bear $60 price tag for the amount of replay value, the scares, and the action that you're going to get in Resident Evil Village. I think it's a great value.
I think it's a great value too.
Because like that topic of conversation has come up again, especially with like since new games are $70, Returnal is a $70 price tag on
game's
game.
like an 18 or 20 hour game, I think.
Yeah, depending on like how good you are.
Right.
And again, with like people are saying like, yeah, $70 for a roguelike. Like most roguelikes are at most $30. But again, most roguelikes are indie games, and you don't have the AAA production values of.
Yeah, that game looks amazing.
Most roguelikes don't look. No, here's the thing. Not most roguelikes. Every single fucking roguelike before
does not look like Returnal.
Did not look like Returnal, man.
That's coming from someone who played Returnal.
Yes.
That game looks and plays amazing.
Like, yeah, you're paying $15 for Binding of Isaac. Think of what Binding of Isaac looks like, where it started as a Flash game, versus what Returnal looks like. Both have great value in playing them. Like, they're both engaging games to just go through and replay. But the production value, and also the type of action of, like, in that...
Right.
I can't wait to play Returnal.
Yeah. I can't wait to pick it up again when they patch it.
Our buddy Trashy Chan, this weekend. For sure. But
Saturday I have a tattoo appointment, but it's at noon. It's only for like 3 hours. 3 or 4 hours.
But he has a PS5, so I'm going to mooch off his PS5 and play some Returnal, baby. But yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on that game, because it looks great. It looks like the kind of third-person shooting action I want to play. Yeah.
Like I said, man, I enjoyed it. I just didn't have the time for 2-hour runs to put my PlayStation in sleep mode, or if I wanted to play another game.
That's because you're a fake gamer girl.
Don't start with me.
You just play until you die, and then you know. I don't get that thing of just you and Mike of just like you play a game for an hour like I feel like playing something else right now.
Dude, everyone's different, man.
I know.
Everyone's different.
Whereas I could buckle down and just play a Souls game for 12 hours straight without peeing or eating or anything.
I couldn't do that. I could not do that.
You just get
Everyone's different, man.
I have a serial killer like focus.
So I'll be dead next week.
No, I'll be on the show wearing your skin, and you'll be on the show.
Actually, I won't be on the show. I'll be
at a wedding. Hey, dude, why do you hate
here's the thing.
Man?
Like,
why do you hate weddings?
Like, I'm excited to go.
You're married.
Listen, well, yeah, I didn't have a wedding. I went to a
courthouse.
Weddings are
fun, dude.
I just don't really care for them, but we're going. You know, it's my wife's cousin, and they grew up together, and I'm excited to meet them and see family because her dad's side of the family is fucking awesome.
You just want to play Village and stay home. Is that it?
Well, Biomutant comes out next week, and I'll be in Southern Illinois. So I gotta get my collector's edition of that.
Biomutant.
But no, it's gonna be a fun time. I get to see family, some family I never met. It'll be fine. I just don't care for weddings. I think they're dumb. That's why I got married at a courthouse. But whatever. Everyone's different. I'm gonna go. I know I'm gonna have a good time, so I'm not worried about it.
Pork I've ever eaten was at a wedding.
I don't even know what they're having.
It was on a farm, and farm to table. You're just getting that pig next door. So good, man. Like speaking of
pig, I'm fucking hungry.
Okay, fine, we'll eat.
Yes.
And
he'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
I unfortunately will not. I will be in a wedding.
And hey, and hopefully we're getting our reps in, so going deep diving into games, and hopefully we'll get better at talking about video games. Because personally, let me just say this. we talked about how we talked about it, and personally, I'd like to get better. I'm not a fan of how we did it, because it kind of...
What?
It
I
felt...
don't even know what we're talking about right now.
Our Resident Evil Village talk. It felt like... Do you listen to Kevin Smith's podcast?
No.
Okay, the way he reviews a movie, it's like... Okay, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
So that's what we just did.
It just talks through the whole movie. I'd like to, we're not there yet, but I want to improve with us talking about
absolutely.
stuff.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
We'll be better at talking about something.
I mean,
from tip to tail.
But to be fair, we were just going to lightly talk about Resident Evil. We went through the entire synopsis.
Yeah.
So I feel like we did okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, I listen to like 40 hours of podcasts a week. I love to let's get in the weeds.
That's
maybe,
fair.
Of like
usually when I drive is when I listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Well, he'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
I'll see you the week after. I'll have a short... Yeah. Depends on how many hours into Biomutant I get. I'm excited for that. I'm so excited for Biomutant.
Hopefully I could get someone on. We'll talk Guilty Gear Strive, Beta, and hopefully more Resident Evil Village. Because again,
I should be done by my second.
We're hungry right now. I'd love to get into the weeds about talking about weapons and just...
We can save that for next time. Because I'll be done with my second playthrough by then. Be on my third one. See you on the next episode.